What is up, people? Welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be going through a leg day. Today is my quad focus leg day because they're an area that I need to bring up. So we have pause squats on the menu, hack squats, leg extensions, and we have some hip hinging in there too, but quads are the main focus. So I'm starting to come up off my pre-workout, so I'll catch you in the gym at the squat racks. Okay, so that is squats pretty much finished. Forgot my belt. Great day to leave your belt at home when you're doing pause squats. Anyway, they went pretty well. 2.5 kilos up from last week on pretty much all of the sets. So pretty happy to be able to do that without the belt. And there's definitely utility to, learning how to brace without a belt, because I think a lot of people get into lifting too early, using things like knee sleeves and using things like belts, and become overly reliant on them, and then for not even learning how to actually use their kind of core musculature to brace without the belt. The belt can be a great tool to learn how to brace with a cue, but you don't necessarily want to become dependent on it, because again, if a day like this happens and you leave your belt at home and you're like, oh, I can't do my squats because I left my belt at home. So that's one thing that can happen. Anyway, we're on to hack squats now. This set last week, I'm going for 6 to 10 on this. Last week I got 4, I think. I got 4, loaded a little bit too heavy, so today is all about redemption. So I'm going to get into my warm-up sets first. Okay, so this is going into my top set now. So I'm going for a set of 6. I've got 4 plates aside and a small plate, 5 kilo. I'm still trying to work out these fucking pound plates. But with this movement, so my kind of main emphasis on this is it to be a quad focused squat pattern. So with my pause squats, that was essentially to build my competition squat for powerlifting, whereas this is more so like my bodybuilding work. So to do that, I am using heels. So I'm using power lifts. So these have a small bit of elevation on the heel, which is essentially going to allow me to get into a little bit more kind of dorsiflexion at the ankle, which should allow me to get a bit more forward knee travel, which should get me a little bit more quad activation. If you are trying to get more quads in like a squat pattern, for example, or in a leg press or in a hack squat, and you have shitty ankle mobility like I do, you can use squat shoes to kind of get you a little bit more range, or if your gym has a wedge, you can put it underneath the platform. Pretty happy with how that set went, and like it really is the benefit of using machines that you're able to push that a little bit harder closer to the point of failure. Like if that was on a back squat there, my upper back would have given in way too soon, my heels would have lifted up off the ground. Like being able to just push into the pad there and really just shove my intent forward on my feet just allowed me to kind of finish that movement with my quads essentially being the limiter. So really happy with that. That is 2 reps up from last week. Definitely could have pushed for maybe another one, but it would have been an absolute grinder, and it wouldn't have like added any more in terms of like a hypertrophic stimulus, but it probably would have added like a fuckload more fatigue, which would affect my back off sets, which I'm about to do now. I don't feel like that after hack squats. I really train hard enough. So just as I walk to the next exercise, I want to give you a little bit of a tour of the gym. So the gym is Pure Muscle and Fitness in Burlington. Now look at this, right? All of this here is leg presses and hack squats. This is just leg press and hack squats and pendulums. I have Atlantis hack squat, Atlantis leg press, core nutritionals hack squat, another Atlantis leg press, and there's more leg presses inside, which is absolutely wild. The side backs that I was on there. So I'll show you a little bit more of it. So over here you have like abs in the corner, and then these are some hamstring machines, some leg extensions. Here's some back machines, and this is one half of the gym as well. Flex hamstring curl, I'm gonna use that later. So these are all just more hamstring machines, more leg extensions, and again, there's more in that room over there, which I am not using anything in that room today. There's everything here, knots, pullover, Cybex, Eagle Row, yeah, fucking everything. More kind of leg presses, more leg presses, some kickbacks, so many calf raises and adductors. Squat racks over here, some machine chest presses, so plate loaded and pin loaded, deadlift platforms, 2 Cybex, some machines, loads of Atlantis, bench presses. And we have this plate loaded Arsenal RDL split squat. Plate loaded something, but I'm going to use it. As I'm going through this session, I'm doing less and less warm-ups because my nervous system is already pretty prepared, and as well I don't want to fatigue myself any more than I have to before I get to my working weights. So this is my hamstring heavy movement for today. So I'm only doing 6 sets of hamstrings today. So 4 here, and I've got 2 on the flex hamstring curl. So I'm doing this as opposed to the dumbbells or the barbell, because dumbbells, they're just bollocks once the weight gets heavy enough. And I'm kind of at that stage where, like, I was doing the 70s for, you know, sets of 15, and just getting them in place is an absolute nightmare. Using a barbell, I focus a little bit too much on keeping myself balanced and not enough on like the target muscle, which is like the hamstrings. So using this, I am able to keep myself balanced. It's easy to load, easy to progress, and it's like the balance is no issue at all. So I can just really focus on shifting the intent towards the back of my heel and really thinking about contracting my hamstring as I am getting my hip extended. So one thing that's pretty cool on this machine is, because the way the axis is going to work, as I come down into this kind of hip hinge position, the weight essentially is distancing itself away from my hips. So it's going to increase the moment time between the weight and my hamstrings. So it's going to have an increased stretch there, versus if I was using a barbell and I was trying to get the bar to go in front of me, that would probably just make me kind of tip over and lose balance. Whereas because this is weighted down on the other side, I can essentially kind of afford to have the weight drift away from me and keep more kind of stress on my hamstrings. Feels weird talking to yourself in the gym, but you gotta do what you gotta do for the YouTube. Next movement is going to be a seated calf raise. So after so many actively loaded movements, so like my squats, my half squats, my RDLs, everything loading my spine, I am now onto something that's not. It's going to be loading my calves from my knees. So no real specific reason why I picked the Cybex seated calf raise versus all the other calf raises that are at my disposal here, only for the fact that I'm familiar with Cybex's equipment, and pretty much most of it feels really sturdy, feels really smooth, and this seated calf raise is definitely one of the smoothest ones that I've used. Usually a lot of them at the kind of knee support, it will really start to kind of grind on like my kneecaps, or like the knee pad won't have like enough cushioning in it, so it really just like pain almost becomes a limiting factor, other than not being able to output more force from my calves. So that's kind of the main reason I've chosen this. I've got 4 sets to do here. I'm not going to record all of them. I'll record one because, you know, you don't necessarily need to see me perform 4 sets of calf raises. So next exercise is going to be on the prime leg extension. So one of the cool things about the prime machines is that you can set it to be hardest wherever you want it to be. Okay, so generally on a leg extension we're going to be weakest at the top when our leg is extended, and that's also where the machine is going to be hardest too. So with this machine I can essentially set it so it is going to be hardest at the bottom when my leg is in the flex position, when my quad is going to be lengthened, and through the mid-range as well. So the mid-range is generally where we're going to be strongest. So that's the setup I'm going to have it on, because in my program at the moment we're really trying to challenge the muscle in pretty much the lengthened range as best as we can, wherever we can, because there is a good bit of research coming out at the moment on stretch mediated hypertrophy to show that like the lengthened portion of the rep seems to be the most beneficial from a hypertrophy perspective. So that's essentially why I have it on this setting, and why I want it to be a little bit kind of lighter at the top when the quad is short, because generally most people are going to have the leg extension in the program to challenge the quad when it is short. But if the shortened position is not necessarily going to be more beneficial from a hypertrophy perspective, it makes more sense to have it harder where there is more of a benefit, right? So I'm going to get into my sets. I've got 3 sets here, and then it's onto the final exercise, which is a leg curl. Now also very important is that you have this axis going in line with the knee, and you have this foot pad up as close to the shin as you can possibly get it, because then it's going to make it easier for you to output force, rather than having it close down to your foot where it's pretty much going to be on your joint. Okay, final movement of the day is 2 sets on the ham tractor. So I've got 1 set of 6 to 10 and then 1 set of 10 to 15. So I'm pretty much maxing out this machine at the moment, so I need to get a gym pin. I do have one ordered, but if anybody's ever seen any of the like old kind of Jay Cutler YouTube videos of him like doing hamstring curls, or even Dorian Yates, you've probably kind of seen this machine before. It's really unique. So you start off a pretty extreme stretch, so you have to almost do like a little chest press to get off the actual kind of hooks, and then it has you start off in like a very extreme hamstring stretch, but like it feels absolutely beautiful throughout the entire range. Like this machine itself could probably be about like 20-30 years old, but yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to get to my last 2 sets, and then I'm going to get out of the gym because I've been here for like 2 hours. I would say that was a fantastic session, and I really was not expecting it to go as well as it did, mainly because once I left my belt at home I was like, will I even record this session? But that would be weak sauce, not doing legs and not recording it just because I forgot my belt. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to become, as I mentioned already, I don't want to become dependent on some gym equipment, right? So really progressive session, pretty much progressed on everything across the board. And like when I mean a progression, I mean some exercises were literally just reps up, right? Because realistically, every session you are not going to be hitting massive PBs or making massive strides in terms of like reps up. Like a lot of times the sessions are just going to be like reps up here and there, as opposed to absolutely obliterating sets. And that's essentially how progression runs for the majority of the year. You know, sometimes you will have times of training where you were literally obliterating your sets, but most of the time it's just all about that kind of gradual progression, rep after rep, kilo after kilo, and that builds up over the course of weeks and months, you know, and then after years you're actually kind of big and strong, which I'm still trying to get to. But yeah, and also just like that session in general, really happy the fact that I actually got the balls to speak to the camera during the session, because
I was considering like not using my microphone at all and just kind of like, you know, doing a voiceover again, but I suppose I do want to kind of level up this YouTube content, and things come to my mind when I am training in regards to tips I want to give. And again, it just kind of makes the session, it made the session a little bit more enjoyable, almost feeling like I was training with somebody. So hopefully you would like this style of video, because there are going to be more of them. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to comment, tell me what you thought, and I'll catch you in the next one.